Started out as a classic software engineer and then decided I didn't like it.
When Akanksha called me and was like, hey, do you want to start a business? And I was like, absolutely. Like,
having a startup is a very lonely journey.
We kind of got a notice that like there was another company kind of with the name, and we should probably look at a different name to rebrand with.
Just the fear of getting sued. If you're doing a startup together, it's like your second marriage.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Breaking Uneven podcast. We love to talk shop, uncover the beauty of failures, and play a few games. We have with us today the founders of Backdrop, Akanksha Singh and Caitlin Short. Their collective resume include JP Morgan, Microsoft, Uber, Honey, PayPal, and of course the commonality that is the University of Michigan. So, Akanksha and Caitlin, have we missed anything from your journey?
No, I think you've covered it. That makes us sound really good. I like it.
Amazing. So now to get started, we'll play a quick little game to understand a little bit more about Backdrop.
Cool. So for the first game, we're just going to start off simple. We're going to go alphabetical order, which means that Akanksha, you're going to play it first, and then Caitlin's going to go second. So this game is called the Twitter Pitch Challenge, and basically Twitter is known for its 280 character limit on every tweet, which makes it a little difficult to convey your thoughts sometimes. So it takes about 20 seconds to speak to 80 characters, and that's the challenge that we transfer to you, which is to explain to us Backdrop in about 20 seconds. But it's not that easy. You also need to use one emoji and one hashtag in your tweet. Got it?
Okay.
Cool. So I've got the timer with me. Whenever you're ready. So we're just gonna go with it. So 3, 2, 1, go.
Cool. Expense management for film and TV productions, and a TV in front of it.
And the hashtag.
Hashtag expense management made easy.
Okay, not bad. So you got that done in under 15 seconds. And I think, yeah, is that what you have on your LinkedIn as well, right? It's very similar to that.
You don't want me to cheat?
Okay, so Caitlin's job is a little tougher because now you can't use the exact same thing.
I was going to say, like, her hashtag was literally what I was going to say. Awesome. Okay.
So, Caitlin, you've got 20 seconds. Your time starts now.
Expense management for the entertainment industry, a little scene clipper emoji, and then hashtag receipts getting you down.
Interesting. Quick thinking. Again, under 15 seconds. So you guys have absolutely killed the first challenge. I mean, we've had guests go over 30 seconds. I think maybe even a minute. I don't know. But no, I mean, great job. So let's just try to understand a little more about your journeys and Backdrop as we go into the conversation.
Yeah, so to get started, Akanksha, both of you have had like a fair share of strong employee life at world-renowned companies, and as Caitlin mentioned at the start, like it seems very impressive. So why did you choose to take the entrepreneurial plunge?
Yeah, I can go first. Yeah, I've been at many companies, as you stated earlier, Microsoft, Uber, JP Morgan. Started out as a classic software engineer and then decided I didn't like it, went into product, and then I'll tell this story, but slowly, promotion after promotion, you kind of realize that it's all, you don't do anything differently. It's just like helping you, get the feeling of you're one level higher. And so, the more I had that, the more I was like, wait a minute, I'm still doing the same thing. This is not really making me happy. And so decided to leave all of that after trying a bunch of different things, smaller company, big company, a more traditional bank, and then was like ready to do my own thing, which I always wanted to do.
And Caitlin, how about you?
Yeah, no, I kind of a similar experience. When I started out, I actually started out my career in the entertainment industry. I've come from a family. My dad's an executive producer and he's a business owner, right? So I always kind of watched him and wanted to follow in his footsteps. But I started out, I had a fashion business, right out of fashion school. And then I was like, I need to go back to school to learn a little bit more about business. I'm a little naive to just jump into this without any real like solid experience. So I went back to school and I actually was introduced to computer science and I became a software engineer. And I started out my software engineering career at a startup called Honey. And so it was, less than 50 engineers. We were, fairly small. And I just loved that environment. I felt like I got to learn a lot really quickly. And then, like Akanksha mentioned, like over time, the company gets bigger, the promotion after promotion, you get more responsibility, but you kind of miss that like sense of ownership and being able to do things quickly and like really feel connected to what you're doing. And so I knew it was always something like I wanted to go back and like start a business again. And when Honey was acquired by PayPal, it was a really great experience. Like I loved learning about it, but it was a much larger corporate business, right? So 25,000 employees, you kind of feel like you're lost in the shuffle a bit. And I just started to realize like I really craved that startup life again. And I wanted to take the reins and do something. And that's when Akanksha called me and was like, hey, do you want to start a business? And I was like, absolutely. Like, this is the perfect timing. It's what I want to do. And I think it's just fun, right? Like it's hard. It's not easy, but it's always challenging. You're always learning. And why not, you know?
Yeah.
Why not try?
She was in the middle of a move to London when I called her, which is, by the way, one of her favorite places on earth. And she decided to quit all of that and come do this. So
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So let's dial back the clock because I think one thing that you said initially, which kind of stood out to me, was you were introduced to computer science. Um, and the other thing that you said was you've kind of always known you wanted to go back to the entertainment industry because that's where your father's built his career. But that that kind of already gives you a lot of options, right? You can go to film school to kind of get the lay of the land there. You already went to fashion school. You could go to business school to kind of see if you want to, build a business, how to go about that. So when you were introduced to computer science, why did you feel like that was something that, you know, would still eventually lead you back to entertainment? Like, why was that the right choice for you?
Yeah, no, it's a good question because it wasn't a planned. It was a very much like unexpected turn, right? I went back to school with this goal of, I majored in economics as well, and I was like really focused on doing business. I even actually like took the LSAT and got into law school because I thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do. But I I took an intro. I was going to do math as a major, and I took an intro to computer science course as part of the requirement. And I just immediately was like so entranced by this capability that you could build something and like you could figure it out. And it was just like such an interesting process. And historically there wasn't a lot of women in the field. And that kind of also gave me this like fire to want to kind of break that mold and like keep going. And I just enjoyed it. It was hard and challenging, and I feel like I've always kind of teetered on the two sides of my brain. I've always had like a more creative side, and I've had a very logical side. So it kind of felt like a good balance in this industry that I could kind of do both. Right? You get to kind of have this design aspect, but you also get to be more logical. And so yeah, so kind of like I just saw it as this opportunity to build really cool things and solve challenging problems. And obviously I went and worked in for Honey and PayPal, which are more financial services, helping people save money, but it really can make a really positive impact in people's lives. And so that's kind of where Akanksha and I put like our experiences together, right, when we were thinking about what backdrop would be. The entertainment industry is just a very underserved market in terms of software. It's people don't know a lot about it. The software is very antiquated, doesn't get updated regularly because it's kind of closed off. So we just felt like we had this opportunity to take our experiences and just make people's lives better who do the work to make a production happen.
So now, part of like what the missing link here is, you said that Akanksha called you and said, "Hey, let's build something." So you're the one with the entertainment background, but she was the one that called you. So Akanksha, did you have an idea for what you wanted to do when you called her, or was it that, hey, we should build something, and then that's when Backdrop came to be?
Yeah, I had no idea what we were going to do. It was just like, hey, you know, this is a cool thing I want to do. Do you want to do it with me? And you would be surprised because we actually went through a bazillion ideas and things before we even came to this whole entertainment idea. So we tried, you know, dev tools, you know, in fintech, all kinds of things that you can imagine as you're going through what we call a pivot hill when you're pivoting and you're figuring out what you want to do. Yeah, so I had no idea, and the more we dug into entertainment, the more like shocked I was from like an outsider's perspective, because every industry you see has come a long way from like how it used to be 10, 20 years and has kind of gone through a technological transformation. And that hadn't happened with entertainment, and partly because what Caitlin mentioned, right? It's closed off. An average person would not know how things are done or who to even talk to. And so that just like felt like, whoa, there's a lot of greenfield stuff here. Let's do it. So that was the thought process.
Interesting. And then, like, given that you didn't have an idea in mind and you just wanted to call up and like try and do something, like, why call Caitlin? Like, was that a conversation that happened at uni, or was it something that encouraged you? Like, why did you not go the solo entrepreneurship path but called a friend to try and figure it out?
Yeah, yeah. Well, having a startup is a very lonely journey. And when you're doing it yourself, that is just so hard, right? Because you're going through ups and downs every single day, and you need at least one more person to be able to like load balance things, but also just like talk through those things, right? Like we have Kill and I have meetings where like one of us is down, or like both of us are like, whoa, what is happening, right? So I think being a solo entrepreneur is just a very, very lonely journey, right? And so you need that was, you know, I was like, okay, let's see what Caitlin's up to. I had no idea that she would be okay with leaving her nice job at PayPal to go do this thing. Also because I had no idea what we were doing, so she just like jumped on this thing not knowing what was going to happen, which like kudos to her. That was really brave.
And you as well.
And I guess, yeah, Caitlin, what encouraged you to like quit PayPal, quit the move to London, but then like join Akanksha in starting this journey?
I think because I think with anything, right? Like you always like get these moments in life where you get an opportunity, and I've always been one for like creating the opportunity for yourself, right? Um, you know, I I enjoyed my career. I had success. I was making lots of money. You know, and I enjoy, you know, for the most part. But you know, starting a business, like it's like taking a risk and taking a chance, right? And it could be really great, but if it, you know, and so I kind of, if I said no, you know, I felt like I would regret that, you know, a few years later, because why not try? You know, I'm young, I'm financially secure, so I can take that risk. And I have a great partner in Akanksha. So it just seemed like why, like absolutely why not? That's kind of like my answer. I know it's not really a good answer to the question, but why not? You know, a PayPal or a corporate business will always be there, but the opportunity to start a company with a friend and someone who's really been really successful in their career, like why not?
I'll be honest, I use the answer why not very often, like more often than I should. Because when someone asks me why, my first thought is why not? Like, is there any
Yeah.
reason not to? Um, but so, uh, Caitlin, tell me this now. If you, um, when you left PayPal, I'm sure, like at that point, you had decided why you were leaving. So it's kind of like a two-parted question. If you did tell your manager that, hey, I'm leaving to do my own thing, how did they react? Or if you didn't tell them, why didn't you tell them?
I actually I did. I said I wanted to take the time to go work on my own thing, right? I think they very much well, I had two different kind of managers in the sense. So at the time I was actually in their like leadership program. I'd switched roles, and that's why I was moving, because I was moving to different countries with the company to work with different executives. Um, and my manager prior to me joining that program like knew I was trying to really just explore all the different things I could do, learn more about like this larger corporate company, because I had felt like I mentioned, like a different disconnect from my work than what I was when I was at a startup. And I think they just knew that I had this like desire to do more or learn more or try something else, right? And yeah, I guess like, yeah, it wasn't I told them, because like why hide it? Like I was trying to just start my own thing. And I think with any manager, like that's what you want for your employees, right? You want your employees to be successful, whether or not that's with you or without you, like depending on who they are. And so they were all very supportive, and yeah, yeah, it was a good conversation.
I in fact had a similar like interaction with my ex-manager at Deloitte, because like they told me that, hey, if you're leaving us to do your own thing, and like, ideally we want you to have like the greatest success, because that means that for the rest of your life, every time someone talks about your success, they're also saying this person used to work at Deloitte, so it's also our
Yeah,
success. So I mean,
right.
they said that very selfishly as a joke, but I mean it does make sense, right? Like the idea is there. So Akanksha, similar question for you.
Mhm.
When you decided to take the entrepreneurial plunge, before you finally took the leap, did you go to anyone for advice? And if yes, what was the advice that made you do it? And if you didn't go to anyone for advice, why not?
Yeah, I think by the time, well, I think one crucial piece of information that we missed in all of this, which basically, like, we come from a little bit of a privileged position here to be able to say, okay, I'm going to go and leave my job, which is the fact that we got into YC and Y Combinator, and so it was kind of a no-brainer decision. It's very much a privileged position when you're able to start a business with funding already secured, right, to at least get started. So I do want to acknowledge that. But I think also mentally, you kind of, I had decided that I wanted to do a business. And it was kind of, it took a while for me to actually get prepared and mentally be ready to like, okay, I'm going to quit, right? I was at Uber for maybe 5, 6 months when I made that decision, right? Which was very early in my journey at Uber, but it was a no-brainer decision, right? YC is one of the top, accelerators in the world. There was just no worst case outcome there. You know what I mean? Like it was just, okay, this is awesome. We're going to try it out. Worst case, we have learned a ton through this experience and done things that we otherwise would not have done. So
Yeah.
that was my thought process. But yeah, obviously you talk to your family, you talk to your friends, you've talked to people that have gone through the experience before. My fiance at the time as well, because he had gone through YC in the past. So you do talk to everybody and make an informed decision. But in this case, it was a lot easier of a decision.
Yeah, very good point,
That
Akanksha.
Yeah, no, that definitely, I guess there's some layer of security to it when like you are backed. So you know like what direction you're kind of going to.
Yeah.
And like as you rightfully said that even if things didn't go the way you wanted, there was a lot of learning that would have come out of it. So I think like generally it it's being comfortable with like that possibility. Um but yeah, like when you initially launched, Backdrop was earlier called Twig. So why did you rebrand, and what was that pivot like?
So like Akanksha mentioned, right, when we were as part of the YC batch, we were in a bit of a pivot hell. But also part of the process is you start a business, you incorporate, you get set up, right, and in that process you're trying to come up with a name for your company, which is actually like one of the hardest exercises. It took us a long time to actually like, what's an interesting name? You want to think of something that's only so many letters because it's easier to remember. And I mean, honestly, the name Twig came out of us just brainstorming in Akanksha's apartment in San Francisco, trying to think of all the different names that we come up with that sounded good. Um, and so we did start with Twig. That was actually before we had landed on our idea of what we were doing. Um, and as we started to form the business, like learn more, to be perfectly honest, with Twig, we were incorporated, but we started to notice there were other companies called Twig, similar spaces, but not so much. And we kind of got a notice that like there was another company kind of with the name, and we should probably look at a different different name to rebrand with. And so that was when we had a different kind of brainstorming session on the name, but we tried to think of something more related, obviously, to the industry that we are in. And that's where Backdrop came, right? It's Backdrop, it's in the background. We do a lot of the help with a lot of the back office stuff, but a backdrop is relative to photography, to film, to everything. So not a super exciting story, but
Just the
naming a
fear of
company.
getting sued.
Yeah.
Which is, hey, we're not gonna. Well, also, like she was mentioning, Twig came about when we were sitting in our kitchen. We're like, whoa, what should our name be? And so we go through this Airbnb had like a whole spice rack, and we're just like going through all the possible spices to think what the name could be. And then we look outside, and we're like, whoa, there are trees. Well, branch is taken. This is taken, and then we're like, Twig, that's not taken. So that was kind of the story of how Twig started. Yeah.
No way. I think like regardless, the whole transition to backdrops makes more sense of like what y'all are actually doing. So it's like good
Yeah.
that y'all did do that rebrand. But one thing that y'all mentioned was that y'all were in, I guess, like the pivot head that you were saying while y'all were at YC. So what was like the initial idea that y'all did apply to YC with, and like how did that change?
Yeah. The initial idea was also in the financial fintech space. So we were gonna, at that time, fintech was very popular and everybody left and right, every company was issuing cards, right? And so one of the things when you issue cards, you want to be able to differentiate yourself from your competition. And one way of doing that is you're offering rewards, cashback, all these special exclusive benefits. But as a startup, when you're starting out, you have no idea how to go talk to those merchants and actually secure a lot of those deals. So what we were going to do was actually connect merchants with those card issuers and facilitate a lot of those deals in form of a marketplace. So that was the original idea. There was a ton of competition in the space in form of like legacy players, and it felt like there wasn't a lot of market share left to be taken, and also the whole kind of hype of the fintech and everybody issuing cards, it wasn't very clear how long that was going to last, as well, and how sustainable of a business that would have been. So hence the pivot and pivot hell.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, Akanksha, in your view,
Yeah.
why did YC pick you? Why did they like give you the funding?
Yeah. Well, I can only guess because I never
Yeah.
know the real reason. Uh, so from YC's perspective, in general, from what I have observed during my time there and just seen other people go through YC, I think at the end of the day, they care about founders and the founding team. Um, they want to see either have you done something like this in the past, or are there signals from your background and your experience that they can see and be like, okay, I think that this is the right recipe for a founder. So they're just looking at like you and the team, and are you able to execute or not. They do not care as much about what you're doing, because you might try something for 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, and then decide it's not the right thing. And after that process, all you've got left is the team and yourself, right? So that's really the core of it, especially in the earlier stages. It's all on the founders. So I think from their perspective, I'm sure they looked at the background, they looked at all the different experiences, and they care a lot about technical ability as well. And can you actually do everything in-house without relying on external party and having to hire? So yeah, that would be my guess for why they picked.
And then, Caitlin, if you had to make a guess, which wasn't the same, so let's say another reason why they might have picked it, what would you think it would be?
Well, I mean, they picked Akanksha. I want to preface that too. Like, Akanksha is a very impressive individual. Like, when she talks about her experience and what she's done, it's like pretty amazing. And so I actually got lucky in the situation. Like I said, Akanksha called me because Akanksha got into YC, right? Akanksha is the one that they really liked and they wanted, right? And so I I got to join her for a meeting and they talked to me, but like I want to preface that like they were impressed enough with her on her own and
Fair
her
enough. So
capabilities.
then,
Yeah,
in that case, we can change the question to why did
yeah.
Akanksha pick you?
Why did Akanksha? Ooh, that's a great question. No, I mean, look, Akanksha. I think Akanksha called me. Akanksha and I met at Michigan, right? And so the two of us actually took like all of our CS classes, a lot of our CS classes together, and we actually ended up doing a lot of like projects and worked with one another. And we actually kind of even had this system. We both like double booked our schedules so we could get all of our like credits done more quickly. And so we would like have this plan where we had two classes scheduled at the same time. So we would go to the one class and then we would schedule time later in the evening to watch the other classes lectures together. So we like kept ourselves accountable. And so we just like had like we kind of just clicked and worked well together. And we, like I said, we did a lot of like these late night projects, and I think we just really enjoyed it. We didn't have a bad experience, doing that. And so we kind of just carried that with us, like obviously after Michigan. So I think when she was thinking of other people, I think she wanted to think of someone that had a good technical ability. Obviously we went to school together, we've worked together before, and you want to make sure it's cohesive and that you get along. And so I think that's why she picked me.
And a
Because
female founder. Woohoo.
yes, and another female founder, right? Like that's a powerhouse team right there. So yeah.
So coming to today, tell us a moment, like a single moment where you felt, thank God Akanksha is my co-founder.
Sorry, say that
I'm
again.
liking these questions.
Any particular moment where you felt like, oh, thank God Akanksha is my
Oh,
co-founder,
all
like a
the
moment of
time.
difficulty?
I think that all the time. I think that like every day. It's even funny because even when I talk to my husband about the experience, we're always like, man, Concha's amazing, like because she works really hard. And like without her, I feel like, I mean, she's just a go-getter. You know what I mean? Like everything she does, like she acts quickly. She's on the ball, like in terms of like, when we were fundraising, like Akanksha took like tons of meetings and handled all the investors with such like poise and grace. Like she just knew what to do, and she's quick to react. And like I said, like I really just enjoy, like when we have our meetings, like I actually just enjoy talking with her. You know what I mean? Like it's not like I enjoy spending time with Akanksha. And every day I'm grateful because she's a hard worker, she's smart, she's intelligent, she has really good feedback, she knows how to adapt, and I can't say enough great things about how lucky I am to have her.
Wow.
Yeah, and she's also like so supportive too. Like I also want to say that as well. Like in terms of like if I'm doing something, with my family or I'm not feeling well, like she picks up the slack. You know what I mean? Like it's never yeah, never a bad environment.
I guess Akanksha, you'd really need to pay off the same.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, okay, did
Like that
not.
was really, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm allowed to share this, but I'll share it, Caitlin, if you're okay with it. Uh, well, nobody knows, and this is something that like I'm really proud of her. Okay, she's got a toddler. Okay, and this woman decided to leave her nice stable job, which she was sort of the sole earner of the family, to go do a startup when she has a toddler at home. Like that is crazy. Like that is next level of risk taking. And somebody who can do that, like regardless of what we're doing in terms of ideas, whatever, like that is the greatest asset to the company, right? Like we can pivot, we can have whatever customers we want, doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like, and with Caitlin, it's like the opposite problem you might think, where she's like constantly working. She's like always on. And I'm like, okay, Caitlin, you've got to take a break. Like you got to stop. So she's just like so dedicated to everything she does and such a hard worker and cares about balancing like so many things in her life on, a given day, which is not an easy thing to do. Like that is, it's just so inspiring to see, right? Like people make all sorts of excuses for like why I can't quit my job to go do this, right? Oh, I have this, I have, financial and all these other reasons. But like, it's just so inspiring to see somebody to like, okay, you know what? I want to do this. I don't care. I'll figure it out. And that's honestly, that's the biggest thing for me.
Oh, thanks, Akanksha.
On top of all the talents which I don't have, she's built the whole product by herself in just a couple months, by the way. And when we talk to people in the entertainment industry and we're like, yeah, we're live, and they're like, what? Like, who did it? How big is your team? And we say that just Caitlin, right? So she's built everything by herself. She's an amazing engineer, an amazing co-founder, right? Like, and I don't think I would want to do it with anybody else. So
I feel like both of y'all are incredibly talented and like in terms of like risk and things like that, also on the same page. But like how y'all do it and the way y'all complement each other in like work, but also in reality of complementing each other is like incredible. Because to be fair, if anyone asked me this, I could not give such a big laundry list for Anuj. Sorry. But I don't
I
think
mean,
he can
yeah,
do the same for me.
they had like a
What?
monologue each.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can go on and on.
we spend a
That's
lot of
fine.
time with each other. I think they say like if you're doing a startup together, it's like your second marriage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're spending all your time with that person, so you know the ins and outs and everything, the goods and bads.
Yeah. And I think it's also really important to know that you know how to deal with the person in like all the phases of life, I guess. Because like you need to know how the person, like you need to know the ins and outs of how the person works, you know, like if things are not going good, how to balance the person out as well, and like so
Yeah.
on. So, no, that's definitely interesting. But like, yeah, I was just like mesmerized by the way like y'all were talking about each other. Um,
Cool. So this game is called Two Lies, One Truth. In the past, we've had a lot of confusion, so I'm just going to repeat it. It's two lies and one truth. Much like the drinking game that you might have played, but basically to understand a little more about your journey, whether it's challenges or your biggest achievements or a combination of both, each of you has to give us three statements, and we'll play this one by one. So this time, Caitlin, you'll be going first. So what? Amongst the three statements, one is the actual true statement, and then there are two lies, and then we have to guess which is the correct one.
Okay. Oh man.
I did write stuff down because I can't remember it all. Okay. Two lies and a truth. So I used to play track and field in high school and have won in running many times. Second, I discovered an asteroid in high school. Number three is I actually come from a very rural community in India where even to this day there is no electricity. So go.
It's a very, very good list.
yeah. I want to go for the asteroid that you discovered an asteroid in high school.
Even I was gonna pick that because she had like an air of pride in her face when she said it.
Now, if
um,
this turns out to be a lie, it's gonna be a joke.
okay, wait. So,
But yeah,
Jan, you're
no.
going for asteroid. Let me think. For the sake of difference, I'm gonna go for track runner winner.
Okay. Who do you think won?
Neither.
Neither
Caitlin
of us.
won.
The last one is the truth. Right?
Cool.
I mean,
Yes,
right?
yes.
I should know this.
The asteroid piece is correct.
Oh,
And
okay.
so you won, Janvi, and so have you in it. The
Oh,
last one, yeah, and Caitlin too. I guess all three of you won.
Wait,
wait,
what?
Wait, what?
With two lies and a truth, right?
Yeah, which one's the truth?
Yeah.
The truth is the last one where I came from a
Oh,
room.
okay. Oh, so we
So we lost. Johnny and I
we
lost.
lost. Yeah.
Oh, you lost. Oh, you had to guess the lie.
We had to guess the
We
truth, the
guessed
single
the
Okay.
truth.
Okay, Caitlin. Sorry, my bad.
Oh, so where is that? Which part of India is it in? Is it
Uh,
in?
it's in UP. It's like near this community called near Fazabad. This town called Fazabad.
I know Faizabad. Yeah, my girlfriend's from like Varanasi. So, and like even my entire family is from Varanasi. So,
Yeah.
yeah, UP is quite close to home that way. Cool. Caitlin, are you ready?
But yes, okay, I'm ready. So, okay, my two lies and a truth, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Just say three statements. Don't tell us which are the lies and which are the
yeah. No,
No,
I won't.
knowing us will mess it up.
So I was born in Los Angeles. I have bungeed off the tallest bungee bridge in the world twice, forwards and backwards, and I've lived in South America.
What was the first one?
I was
Los
born.
Angeles.
Born and raised in
Oh,
Los Angeles.
I was born in Los Angeles. That's my yeah.
I feel like, I mean, I don't know. Her father's an executive producer, so it kind of makes sense that she'd be born in Los Angeles, but it's also too on the nose. But okay, I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna choose Los Angeles. Jami, what do you say?
I'm gonna say the bungee jumping.
Okay, Akanksha, do you wanna reveal the answer?
Uh,
Unless
it's
you get it wrong.
it's the bungee jumping.
Is the truth,
Oh,
right?
where was?
It's the
Yeah,
truth.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
Where
uh,
was this?
yeah, so I was born in South Africa. I bungee jumped off the tallest bridge in the world twice in South Africa. It's on the road between when you're going to Cape Town. I actually can't remember the name of the city, but I bungeed off of it, and then my sister wanted to go, and I had already gone, so I was like, I'll go back out there with you, and I went and did it backwards the second time with her. This was obviously before I had kids, so I was more of a risk thrill seeker. um, but yeah, yeah,
You're just taking different kinds of risk
This,
after
yeah.
kids.
I'm an
Yeah,
adrenaline junkie right now.
I have seen that bridge and it's terrifying. I would not go anywhere close to it.
When you walk out, it's like a mesh like brick because it's like the pad like the patio where you jump off of is like underneath the bridge, and it's like a mesh bridge you walk on, so it's completely see through as you're walking out the whole way, um, which is quite
Yeah, I
daunting.
think I've seen a reel about it. I'm sure I must have seen a reel about it.
But it was fun. I
Oh,
have
but
pieces of
okay.
the board.
Cool. So let's play our next game, which is red flags. We're gonna give you three hypothetical situations composed of two things that are going great and one not so great thing, which is the red flag. You have to assume that these statements are true, and we've adapted these for you. And then you have to pick which one of the situations you would rather be in and tell us why. So the first situation is Backdrop has grown to 100 employees. You're working across more than 100 productions simultaneously, but there is a large data leak of all confidential expense data across your network. Situation 2, Backdrop is on track to raise a great seed round. Umesh is giving you an award for Backdrop success, but you start to lose market share. Sorry, you start to lose market share to a cheaper competitor. Situation 3, Backdrop has successfully managed $1 billion in entertainment expenses. You have a deal on the table with Marvel Studios, but one of you has to leave the company for personal reasons. So these are your three situations, and you have to let us know which one you would rather be in.
I personally feel like I would prefer situation two, um, because situation one as a software engineer just freaks me out. Like I hate the idea of a data leak. That's just so terrible to me. That feels so scary. Situation three. See, okay, I'm stuck between two and three. Situation three, because I'm obviously like excited for the company and like I would be very happy for Akanksha to like continue taking the company forward, right? So if I had to leave, like I guess it's like that bad, but I'd feel sad about the situation. But two, I just feel like you can adapt. Like when you have a competitor, which is going to happen and it's always going to be there, you have to figure out how to adapt and how to make yourself better than the competitor. So I just feel like it's like almost like a standard challenge in a business, right? um, so I feel like I'm okay with situation two. or 3, but I'll take 2.
Akanksha, what about you?
Yeah. Situation 3 is interesting. Is it a temporary leave or you're just like, it's a permanent leave from the company?
Permanently.
Permanent. Okay. I love all the advantages of situation 3, but definitely I don't like. Okay, so the way I'm thinking about it is which one of these situations is recoverable? Can we recover from it and move on? Um, from my perspective, situation 3 is kind of not, because if somebody is left, well, guess what? Your team's no longer there. 1 and 2, I know 1 is scary from an engineering perspective, but it feels like that's, it's horrible and something we don't want to happen. But I feel like I've seen companies recover from that. And it's awesome to see so many productions at the same time. Situation 2, I don't love the, at least the seed round part of it. It's not a big achievement. So I'll actually go with situation 1.
Man, that's a good, yeah. Oh man, these are hard, but that's a really
I know,
good,
it's hard. It's trade-offs, but yeah, the situation 2 to me is not as strong. The red flag is obviously doesn't matter as much, but I would rather have more customers and people.
See, this
So
is our
I want
to right there. That's why she's got a good mind.
I wanted to bring out like one very interesting thing, Caitlin, that you said, which was when you were analyzing situation 3. So in the past, whenever we have put a red flag as one of the co-founders has to leave the company, the person answering is always answering from the perspective that, oh, if my co-founder left, then how would I react? But your reaction was, oh, if I had to leave and Akanksha had to continue, that's okay. Which is it was just an interesting perspective. I don't think we've ever seen that like flipped perspective. But yeah, the reason why we added seed round is because it is the natural next step. So there's nothing like crazy about it. And that's why I wanted to see whether that is like a particularly big goal or not, which we obviously now know.
I noticed the part of Caitlin saying that I would leave as well. And I think I'm not surprised after the entire conversation we've had so far, because it seems like your relationship with each other and the way y'all are as co-founders is very different to what we've also seen, and that's really interesting to see as well. So that's cool.
Is it a good thing or a bad?
Good thing.
Cool. Should we? Okay, let's go to our last game. Self-explanatory, very simple game, rapid fire. I'm going to say either one of your names and shoot you a quick question. You have 2 to 3 seconds to give a short phrased answer. So we're going to kick it off now. So Akanksha, how many days of leave have you taken in the last year?
0.
Caitlin, how about you?
Oh, I did go on a vacation for for about a week or so. So I did, but I was trying to talk to Akanksha, but she was obviously trying to leave me alone. But she let me. She gave me peace, which was really nice.
Cool. Caitlin, what's your proudest moment with Backdrop?
I think I get excited. For me, it's anything that we achieve or build. I get really excited, right? So the thought of having our app in the app store and our website up for people to actually use, that made me really happy. Obviously, I'm biased with the engineering perspective, but I was really excited and proud of that moment. Also, Akanksha's fundraising capabilities have made me extremely, like I said, once again, proud to have her as a co-founder. I was she's made it so that we can be successful and we can have runway for a while. And that was also really made me very happy and proud.
Cool. Akanksha, what has been your biggest sacrifice to make Backdrop possible?
Ooh, biggest sacrifice. I don't think it is the biggest, but this is the first one that comes to mind for any founder coming from tech, is that you take a huge pay cut.
Yeah, fair
But
enough.
lifestyle for sure.
Fair enough. What is your favorite backdrop feature?
I think it's the scanning because when I see when we demo and people see it, their eyes just go like bigger and they're like, "Whoa, you can like scan something? Like that's possible?" So it's my favorite.
Okay, awesome. Caitlin, who's your strongest competitor?
Who's our strongest competitor? Ooh, I guess I would say like our strongest competitor, and it's really only in the U.S. is like Cachet. Um, that's like one of the biggest competitors we have that I'm always thinking about.
Cool. Caitlin, what's the biggest embarrassment you faced?
The biggest embarrassment I've faced. Um, like in general in life or like oh, okay. So there was at one point, I used to do a lot of like talking or events for Honey, and there I got like really nervous when I was talking to a group of like elementary school kids that came to visit our office. I literally was like beet red. Like I got more nervous because I felt that they were judging me more than like talking to certain executives. So I just felt like very like uncomfortable, and like I said, I was like blushing, and it was a very embarrassing moment for myself because they were more intimidating to me than than my coworkers.
Oh yeah, Akanksha, what is the one time you felt like you let backdrop down?
Ooh, I let background. Hmm. Oh man, a lot of times, huh? I think
Oh,
I'm trying to think. Trying to think. I think as you go through this whole journey, like you realize that there's things that you could have figured out sooner. And there are a lot of those things, including like, for example, um, oh, we should have paused work on the product a long time ago, or at this point stopped talking to certain investors. I think those are just some of the learnings. I don't think there's like necessarily one thing like, oh shit, I like messed up in a bad way. That was like that it became an existential crisis or something. But yeah, it's just the learnings over time. It's you're constantly judging yourself on your speed, like because that's the only thing you've got as a startup. And so whenever you think, oh shit, I've spent 1 month on this or like a few weeks, you're just like, that shouldn't have been done.
Fair enough. Caitlin, are you a morning person or a night owl?
I think I think I'm a night owl. Yeah, I'm a night owl. I don't know.
Okay,
I feel like
Akanksha,
a lot over time. Go ahead.
sorry, Akanksha, do you prefer books or podcasts?
Ooh, I like holding books. I will actually listen to podcasts. I like when books are, like nicely decorated. That's about it.
Okay. Caitlin, what's your favorite social media?
Instagram. Yeah.
You say that with a lot of guilt.
Yeah, I do have a lot of guilt around it. I try to like block
Uh,
my time on it, but it never works. So
okay, last question, Akanksha, would you ever retire?
Ooh, retire. That makes me feel like I'm old already, but um I don't think so. I don't think I can ever just like not do anything. Like there would be something I'd be doing. I do want to have live in the mountains and have a little flower shop. So
aw.
that's what I would do.
That's
Sounds like
cute.
retirement to me.
Exactly.
Okay, so that concludes the rapid fire segment, which brings us almost to the end of our conversation. But before we let you go, we ask every one of our guests to ask our next guest a question. So we're going to be asking you the question from our previous guest to each of you individually, and then each of you can give a question to our next guest. So your question is,
What is one bad thing that one person told you that actually made you do better? And I'll explain what I mean in this situation. It's like if someone comes and tells you, oh, you're so going to fail in the startup, your idea sucks. But if you took that negative comment, how did you turn it around and actually prove them wrong? So that's the question in the sense.
Hmm. Um, I think, and this has nothing to do with Michigan, but I think in general, just the culture of tech. I think as females, if you ever achieve something, people think that you have gotten it because you are female, like you've gotten some sort of an advantage. So For example, in college, whenever you would have anybody get like a woman get job at Google, Microsoft, or any of those things, right? People generally just like, oh, that must be a diversity hire. And that's just one term that I hate. And so, yeah, that's my one thing, which was like, okay, come on, you know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like prevalent all over India as well. Like
Yeah.
it's quite bad. Yeah. So I get what you mean.
Yep. It's like no matter what you do, you constantly have to prove yourself that no, you didn't get this opportunity just because
Yeah.
you're female. So
Yeah. I think I like trying to remember the exact words, but I actually did have like an advisor at Michigan. Like not like tell me not to do computer science, but like really try to like I guess like they were trying to like discourage me from doing it because they were almost like it's impossible for you to like get this degree in like the time that you want to do it. Because like I said, I switched to computer science like fairly like late in the game, and I had already done like a lot of college credits and stuff, and it was like just going to be doing upper level CS courses, and yeah, like the advisor was just like really kind of negative about like me succeeding, and it made me just go like, you know, sorry, like I'm going to take that and do better than what you think. So,
And you showed them.
yeah. So, so yeah, but that I did, yeah, that was like always like, it always sticks in my mind. Like I was always irritated by that comment. So, yeah.
Cool. Interesting stories. Cool. So that does bring us to the end of our conversation. Caitlin, Akanksha, thank you so much for giving us your time, coming on board. It was an absolute pleasure speaking to you, and we hope you enjoyed the podcast as well.
it was a lot of fun, although we messed up your games, but it was still a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
I
I was
need to.
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go for it.
No, I was more, I'm always like, when you're about to do like an interview with someone, you're like, what are they going to ask? Like, what are they going to do? But this was really fun. And I felt very much at ease talking with you both. So thank you for that.